Hey everyone, how are you? How's everybody? Awesome. Yeah, let's go into it. Just a sec. Yeah, we'll start with the news. First of all, this company, Chime Financial, a financial app built on Ruby on Rails, co-founded by Ryan King from San Francisco, and Noel, right here, who's also speaking at this conference later, is leading the I Love Ruby team at Chime. So I'm assuming that you guys all know this company. They completed the IPO. Woo! Congrats. And this is important because this is the latest fulfillment of the promise of Rails, that it's going to take you from idea all the way to IPO. And we see this happening right now, right in June. Woo. Now, another Ruby company, Figma, which not everybody knows that, is using Ruby on the backend, Sinatra, Active Record, in addition to a lot of WebAssembly, Rust, and Go. They filed for IPO, so we might have 2 Ruby IPOs this year. Can we have 3? This company, Bolt.new, it's a very popular new vibe coding application, also built on Ruby on Rails backend, and a lot of WebAssembly and Remix, co-founded by Eric and Albert from San Francisco. They posted an incredible $40 million ARR after 5 months from launching Bolt, their new product, which is pretty historical, honestly. They also ran the world's largest hackathon last month with about 1 million projects built on Bolt, but every single one of them was served by Rails and Active Record. Keep it in mind. This company, Whop, also a relatively new Rails startup from 2021, co-founded by Jack Sharkey from New York, built on Rails and Next.js. This is a Gen Z e-commerce platform. They posted, so this is a special chart I got from Jack. This is their growth of their transaction volume, and the platform is now serving $1.4 billion transactions. And again, this is a new startup that they just founded in 2021 on Ruby on Rails. This company, Uscreen, I'm sure somebody knows Nick, who co-founded it. Nick is from Maryland. This is a product for creators. And in February, they raised $150 million, which I think is obscene. I don't know why you need this amount of money. Again, built on Rails. This guy, Carmine Paulino, he built Ruby LLM, and Ruby LLM went to the front page of Hacker News back in March. Incredible conversations and a pretty big deal. Something else, a partner at YC, Tom Blomfield, is recommending Rails publicly in a response to Andrei Karpathy from OpenAI, saying that, hey, Ruby on Rails is actually great for a great option for being this kind of full stack framework for vibe coding. So let's use Rails there. So again, Y Combinator partner is publicly pitching Rails. And he also built this vibe coding playbook for Y Combinator founders. And he's actually saying, look, I am vibe coding a Rails app. And I have more success with that than some other folks who built in JavaScript stack. Why? Well, you gotta watch this. So where are we? Let's put these are all the recent news, but where are we? So we see startups on Rails succeeding, growing. We see IPOs, which is great. We see Ruby open source getting popular, getting on the front page, getting in front of people. And we also noticed that investors, again, publicly support Ruby on Rails, which was my dream for some reason. But let's put this into a bigger perspective. So apparently there's this chart that is a great illustration of what I felt was happening in the Rails community, in the Rails ecosystem. And it's called Gartner Hype Cycle. It's just exists out there. So apparently, what it depicts is the visibility of any great new technology. So when we have this new technology, people learn about it, the expectations skyrocket immediately. It's just our human nature. We always expect everything at once. It's kind of natural. But the problem is, at the peak of those expectations, the technology itself is not yet ready. It's not yet ready for all the production use cases where it is kind of trying to be applied. And it's just the reality of things, because technology is not an idea. Technology is decades of work of multiple groups of people put into it. It's not just a single idea, never. So, but we as human society, we expect it to be something more of an idea, a sparkle. And we expect everything to happen at once. And this is, at the peak of those expectations, people realize that, oh, well, actually, it's not ready yet for my use case. It's not as fast, maybe, or performant, or something like that. And then they drop it. And the problem is, we see those kind of stories of people migrating off of the technology that they've just picked. And yeah, then the visibility drops. And at the lower point, we see people asking, you know what they ask? Is Ruby dead? Yeah, is it dead yet? That's what they ask. But this is exactly the test. The test of, is it gonna be a real thing? Is it gonna be a real story? And the test is, if people continue building, investing their time and their lives, the time of their lives, and investing as organizations into building out tooling, building out the core, building out the whole ecosystem around this technology to actually support all of those production use cases that are needed. And if this is happening, then pragmatic value of the technology is growing all the time. It continues to grow. And at some point, people begin to think, or it's actually great. We dropped it, but hey, what if we go back to it now? It looks amazing, it looks better than anything we have right now. And why? Not because it stayed the way it was, but because it continued getting better and better. This is the reality. And this upward trend is called, they call it at Gartner Hype Cycle, they call it slope of enlightenment. Just calling it a cool term. I don't know. So this is where I believe we are today. So we had this kind of hype in the past, and today we are on this upwards trend. So this is what we're gonna talk today about, but first, I'm Irina from Evil Martians, co-founder of Cable, and I run SF Ruby Meetup, San Francisco Meetup, and we'll talk a little about that at the very end. But at Evil Martians, we work with startups, and we write a lot of code. I hope you maybe recognize, you love some of our open source. Just a little portion of it is here. And we also talk to users, and that's what I want to do right now. Please take your phones, because I want to talk to you. Yeah, let's do it. So please scan this QR code. Nice. So as a little warm-up, just type your name. Just type your name. Yeah. Please, no bad words. It's not, you know. Perfect. Okay, Joe is winning. Nice. Ben, hey. Even. Mikey, Josh, Lucas, yeah. Great to see all of you. Okay, keep it coming for a sec, and then we'll move on to the next one. Yeah, I kind of love this moment. So this is actually another Ruby on Rails startup that is running this. It's called Poll Everywhere. It was co-founded by Brett Gessler from San Francisco. It is one of the first, it went through Y Combinator, one of the first batches. And yeah, and the real time is served by AnyCable Pro. That's why I'm so proud. Yeah, so, and by the way, Brad is doing a bunch of new projects. The latest is beautifulruby.com. Check this out. So again, if you didn't have the QR code, this is your chance, because we'll do another one right now. Okay, everybody scanned. Please, okay, let's go. So when did you first learn Ruby? Put the year. 2017, 2020, 2015, 2021. We're seeing a lot of new folks here. That's great. That's great. 2012. Okay. Okay. I feel like there's a mix. There's a mix. Yeah. Nice. All right. Love it. Anybody 2025? No. Nice. Good job. All right. So this is great. Now, this is a harder question. What do you love about Ruby on Rails? What do you love about it? Why are you doing this? And why are you here, right? So you're not only using it, you're also going to events, conferences, but yeah, community, simplicity. Yeah, simplicity is great. Expressiveness, productivity, ease, conventions, joy. Yeah, I love this. Elegance. Perfect. RSpec. Alliteration. Nice. Avo. I know who did that. Who did that? All right. Okay, I love this. Okay, community and simplicity. Okay, we're seeing those two big things, right? So this is pretty awesome. And I mean, this is why we're here. But now we move on. Pleasure to meet you. And we're going to talk more about startups today. Because I believe the core of this community is in building startups, building new businesses, building ambitious projects. You will see the questions you just answered were the questions that I asked startup founders for the second year in a row, and a bit more. But first, these are the Ruby and Rails, not all Rails, but all Ruby startups that, of course, are not all the, obviously not all the stories out there, but those are important stories that we all should know about. It's Dylan from Figma, it's Adam from Heroku, it's Edward from Gusto, it's Apurva from Instacart, Morten from Zendesk, Toby from Shopify, Tom from GitHub, John from Meraki, Ryan from Chime, Kieran from Intercom, Nate from Doximity, John from Stripe, Brian from Coinbase, Dimitrov from GitLab, and finally Gary Tan, who's not the founder of YC, but he built an internal social network in YC that became like a superpower of YC founder on Rails. So this is internal YC tooling that is continuous being built on Rails. And I want to go a little back in time, so we look at those stories in the kind of historical perspective. It's going to be quick, like I promised. 20 minutes and we're back. So let's look at this. Apparently, in 2005, not only Rails 1 was introduced, but also Y Combinator was founded. It was kind of, maybe it has something to do with it. And also the same year, obviously, 15-minute blog from David goes viral. Next year, already, Shopify, Meraki, and Twitter are all founded on Ruby on Rails. The year after, and there's some references to open source projects, just arbitrary for you to just kind of remember those years, right? To kind of think about the corresponding years. So next year, Heroku, Zendesk are founded on Rails, and also, like as we learned just an hour ago, Power Home started there, huge Ruby monolith. Then 2008, we have GitHub, Airbnb co-founded, and apparently already in 2009, Twitter starts migration off of Rails. You remember the quick cycle? I think that's what happened there. So 2010, Stripe Doximity, and what happens is Heroku, the company that was building the cloud for Rails apps originally, it was acquired by Salesforce very quickly. And it was one of the first, Heroku itself was in one of the first batches of YC. And the story goes that the money we got from this deal financed Y Combinator for many years after. Yeah. But not only that, 90% of those batches in YC were on Rails. And this means that this was the high of the hype cycle. Because, again, if 90% chooses Rails, it doesn't mean they do it pragmatically, they analyze. No, it's just the default right now. They pick it because it's there. You got to be aware of why people are making those decisions, right? So what happens next? We have new companies, GitLab, Intercom, 2011, and 2012 is the year astrologists proclaimed you have to start a company on Rails. Just there's no way around it. Chime, Figma, or Ruby, like Figma, Chime, Figma, Gusta, Instacart, Coinbase are all founded that year, and Meraki is acquired by Cisco. Then in the next 3 years, we have consecutive IPOs. Twitter, that is migrating off of Rails, but then we have Zendesk and Shopify. And by the way, Uscreen that you saw, they started as a Shopify store the year Shopify went and IPO'd. Yeah, maybe that's why. So then the next 5 years, okay, yeah, we saw StackBlitz is founded, but there's kind of nothing else. There's really no big Ruby stories founded, Avor founded. Oh, nice. Okay, there are new, what I'm trying to say is we don't see big news from Ruby and Rails companies. We see something else. I think these are the years when we see this kind of deflated visibility of Ruby on Rails. But at the same time, companies and also people, not just companies, people invest in building out the ecosystem. So this is when we see Falcon, Anycable, TestProf, Sorbet, Packwork, and also YJIT work starts then. So we see people, you see what's going on, right? People continue building it out. This is actually the main determinant of what is happening now. This is the work that started then. And now, suddenly, we see a bunch of IPOs, GitLab, Coinbase, Doximity, Instacart, Chime. This is all happening in the last few years, and we see a growing adoption and growing visibility of Rails. But I hope you follow and again, we see a lot more new startups, a lot more new projects, but this is what we're gonna talk about in our present part. You see, we're back. Whew. Now we're back, and we're gonna talk about the present. What's happening right now? Who is building on Rails new projects today? And I spoke with a bunch of people, like Brian from New York, building Sixfold AI workflow platform for insurance underwriting. Damien from Warsaw, building Vendo, e-commerce solution. They also maintain Spree Commerce now. Ian from Detroit, building Goodbill, hospital bills, negotiation software. Aske from Denmark, building OpenPay, bill splitting app. Jake from San Francisco, building Prosperity Health, preventive health platform. Scott from New York, building Sublayer, DX for AI automations, and also he's running Artificial Ruby Meetup. Eric from Virginia, open sourced Cupid, a search quality testing platform. Avinash from Dallas building craft food delivery from private chefs powered by AI for automation. Nivedita from Bengaluru building tram line, release management for mobile apps. Bjarke from London building Vava Fertility, kind of like operating system for fertility clinics, customer thankable. Ken from Sydney building ClipFlow, software for creators. Victor Campos from Brazil building V360 invoice management system. Jacob from Arkansas building Ordinal AI assistant for local governments. Glenn, Luther AI from San Francisco, building AI agents that validate compliance of marketing campaigns. Very hard. Kelly from Seattle, building scholarly software and e-learning platform for faculty. Aaron Snyder from North Carolina, building core pilot and AI-powered ERP for aviation aftermarket. Jesus. Ryan from, from Atlanta, building Terminal, the e-ink display that you can program. Tiago from Brazil, building digital bank. Carmine from Berlin, building Chat with Work, AI assistant. Joao from Brazil, building cashier and invoice financing app. Trent from Alabama, building Equip, a platform for organizations helping people with autism. And Mohammed from Morocco, building task skills and alternative to testing Gorilla. This is not all. I tried to squeeze them into one slide, but those conversations kept coming. We have Colleen, who built Simple File Upload from San Diego, and Matthew from New York, who built Rescale, a company that helps work with food manufacturing vendors. As you can see, all sorts of new startups. I also spoke with some of the older guys, Uscreen, Mark from Battlelist, Ryan from Chime, and Eddie from Gusto. So a bunch of people, a bunch of feedback. And what I asked them were a few questions. One is, why Rails and why Ruby? And I also chatted with Dylan from Figma, and he said, I love Ruby. That's fair. Tiago said, look, it's this story, by the way, similar to what you've just listened, to the one you've just listened to from John. Yeah, when you're switching from Java, you immediately noticing, yeah, I'm just going much faster. Bjarke said, look, convention over configuration allows us to focus on the business logic, just focus on our business and our product. Ryan from Chime said, look, Rails really helped us iterate when we were searching for the right product, when we were trying out lots of things. Rails has the grown up in the room, a lot of work put into it. Rails developers being more entrepreneurial and product and business oriented as another aspect of it. Kelly points out that Ruby is overrepresented among successful startups. So you will not see it overrepresented among new startups. But if you look at the successful ones and the ones that are actually growing, you'll have a different picture. And finally, Glenn said this, look, few years in, people will look back and say, all those years, all those successful companies were actually building on Ruby on Rails. This is what's gonna happen. And he's a San Francisco Y Combinator founder, exactly the type. But let's also look into the future. And I think our look into the future is based on what's missing. What people point out as problems, as the missing pieces. And like I hope I convinced you the last time, I think this is up to us. This is why I think we should listen. Because the core of Rails, the core of Ruby, have a bunch of work already. And those things is something that the community and the ecosystems are really working on. This is coming from us. That's what I'm trying to say. So there were a bunch of points. I will not get into all of them. Still, the comprehensive front-end story is missing. Still, like the path to performance is still a question. yes, for larger companies, the problem is hiring and training engineers. And and finally, there's one point about advocacy, which is something that we kind of miss from the hype cycle, is the time when all the SDKs were in Ruby. And if you think about this, this is the reason why we should be loud and we should talk about successes on Rails that happen today, because we want those SDKs. We want people that build whatever, ClickHouse, Temporal, any company, they should build Ruby SDK if they don't want only new apps, but they also want successful companies among their clients, right? And future successes. But I hope you can guess what was the #1 topic we discussed in the missing part with all those founders, based on what they build, right? Based on the descriptions, the short bits. What do you think it is? Yes. It's AI. It's AI, seriously. Everybody I spoke with, everybody's using AI, let's be honest. Half of these startups would say, look, we're pretty early, we're fine, storing prompts and code, it's fine, yeah. We don't need a lot of special tooling, we're fine. But then the other half actually said, look, it's been 2 or 3 years already and there's not enough tooling in the Ruby and AI ecosystem. They're missing bits and pieces, and we want to build in Ruby. We want to build our product and business logic in Ruby, but we're struggling. And what exactly they're struggling with? By the way, we have Ruby LLM, we have LangChain Ruby, we have more. We finally have Anthropic and OpenAI Ruby SDKs. They released them in April. But this is not enough. This is just kind of scratching the surface. What are we talking about? Like, first of all, of course, code generation. Code generation is something everybody's using, right? We use assistants of all sorts. The few questions are, is the lack of static typing is going to slow us down? And this is the question we should all consider. The question, why is this the question? Because the assumption is, if we have types and we notice that kind of like TypeScript, code generation in TypeScript works pretty well, this might be one of the reasons. Of course, the assumption is that we have very short feedback loop when we have types. The answer is, well, when we have a test suite, we also have a pretty short feedback loop, but again, it remains to be figured out, I will say. Also, do we have enough code to train on? Remains to be answered. Finally, the vibe coding story, the story of people building applications in all of those Bolt, Lovable, Replit, etc. People build new applications. They don't have Rails there in the stack that is out there. Usually they build Node.js and all sorts of kind of JS. They can use all sorts of JS frameworks. But there's an answer to that. Come to our talk on Thursday, by the way, on Thursday. Yeah, we might hint on something. We might have something, actually. But there's also an interesting project from Obi. Check this out, Cloud on Rails. And there's an interesting project from José Valim, Tidewave. There's missing MCP tooling. I will not go too deep into this, but yeah, we need a Ruby SDK at least, but we have fast MCP now. Check this out. Now, if you think about all those startups that use AI, they now have something usually they call it data pipelines, or they have kind of data engineering components in their stack. And that part should remain in Python, because this is what data engineers know, right? But we want all the product engineering to be on Rails. All the business logic, we want to keep it on Rails. And how exactly to separate the two, I would say it's not yet clear. But also, not only how to separate them, but also to bring all the missing tooling to Rails, and also to ensure connectivity between, let's say, our data pipelines and our product stack. Sometimes we need streaming, sometimes we need background jobs. We need different types of things here. All the agent tooling, again, we need a lot. We need new abstractions in Rails. We need new infrastructure because agentic workflows that are, what are they? They are kind of undeterministic, long-running workflows, similar to background jobs, but they require, because of the undeterministic nature of them, we need more observability, more control, more resumability, more context. So it requires additional and maybe new infrastructure. Observability becomes central when we are building non-deterministic workflows because we don't know what's happening by default. And finally, we need quality evaluations, and we need other new things like browser agents, which are not available in Rails yet. So we have here active agent, acidic job, Levar. It's just a few examples. It's actually a booming open source field. Check this out. There are a couple books. The book by Obi Fernandez, it lays the grounds pretty well. There's also a new chapter in the upcoming edition of Layered Design book by my colleague Vova. And there's also a newsletter, rubyai.beehive.com. So it's called RoboRuby, actually. So check out this newsletter. It collects all the links. Yeah, I know I should wrap up. Just a couple more slides. You know how many meetups we had in the last 12 months in the Ruby community? 800. 800. Whew. That's thanks to all of you. So we're doing great. When we look into the past, I would say it was tons of fun. Interesting. Not everybody gets this joke. Okay, the future is up to us, up to people in this room, for real. And the present, I want to say, has never been better. Never been better. And yeah, this is my honest opinion. I think when people ask you, oh, Israel's great for a new startup, I will say it was never better than today. Whew. Yep. And with that, so that you have something to look forward to, we're running a San Francisco Ruby conference. This is where you're going to hear from those startups. You're going to connect with them. It's in November 19th, 20th. You're going to have amazing experience. We are supported by a bunch of sponsors. We welcome additional sponsors. And these people already are confirmed speakers. And the CFP is open right now till this Sunday with the idea that you all will submit a proposal. Yeah, thank you.